Hello, my name is Jessica and I am presenting my applied assignment. Regarding the pre-work, I chose to do families for my topic. I chose families because I believe that they are the primary support system in most cases when it comes to individuals with disabilities. The aspects of inclusion that I will be talking over is education, communities, extracurriculars, and home life, because through the interview, I noticed that these were the main topics that I focused on in the interview. So I interviewed my boss. I work at Starbucks, and they are a very inclusion-forward company. My boss also has a daughter who has autism and has experienced inclusion barriers, or the lack thereof as it pertains to her. So before this interview and before taking the course, I really didn't have a lot of knowledge regarding disability, just because growing up I was never around people who had disabilities, so I was never exposed to it and what it entails. And because of that, I wasn't able to grasp the importance of inclusion and awareness. The course materials that I chose for the presentation range from articles and videos. So the one written by Grossman and Magana, called Introduction to the Special Issue, Family Support of Persons with Disabilities Across the Life course. It gave me an awareness of the impact that families have on disabled individuals. Oftentimes they can prohibit them, but for the most part they offer a lot of support to the disabled individual. The next article I looked at was the next website I looked at was the 7 Principles of Universal Design. So universal design entails a design that can be utilized by everyone, as we are all differently abled, and it works to create a system that encompasses inclusion for all of us. So this can also help families in creating a better support system. Also, I'd like to note that these course materials have all worked to change my mindset about disabled individuals and have provided me with a plethora of information that has led me to want to make a difference. The next article I chose to look at is called Why Employers Don't Hire People with Disabilities. This article is embedded with a lot of reasons why individuals with disabilities would make a good worker, and why employers should do more hiring with people who are disabled, because they tend to be more loyal to the company. They tend to have good work ethic. The next article I looked at was Race, Identity, Stereotyping, and Voluntary Oppression. This really focuses on the harm that can come from these things, and talks about the change of action that should come from being aware about these things. Okay, I interviewed my boss, as I said before, and this is a brief snapshot of the questions that I asked him. And so these are the questions that I asked my boss. I talked to him about his daughter, and I first asked her what her personality type was like. Is she outgoing? Is she shy? And she's very energetic and outgoing and friendly. And if she's happy, she's happy. If she's sad, she's sad. She was diagnosed at 2 years old. Oh, I'm sorry. She was formally diagnosed at 6 years old, but they evaluated her at 2 because she was having developmental delays. I asked him about ABA therapy, and he responded that they would come to the house and worked with her for 40 hours a week at school, and they worked on how to play with others, ask for things, use utensils, communicate emotions, how to pay attention, and how to give her a break, things like that, all ranging with whatever stage she was at the time. So these are the questions that I asked him. And then the next few slides are the new learning slides. So one thing I learned was that inclusion is a critical aspect of community education and the environment around us. It can come in many forms and relates not only to our attitudes toward the world, but of our inner attitudes as well. Creating an inclusive environment is important for the formation of an environment where everyone feels they belong, because they do. And below I have the course materials outlined. So the course has showed me that common societal attitudes toward inclusion must change. In the article, Race, Identity, Stereotyping, Voluntary Oppression, Alavi argues that research shows that stereotyping a group has significant impact on the way individuals within the group self-identify. Alavi is emphasizing the harm that comes from stereotyping. This harm is seen often and can lead to oppression. The next thing I learned about equity was that it has a lasting impact on the world. As we teach equity in schools, we help children understand that their circumstances and their environments don't define them. Further, what society might say about them doesn't define who they truly are. The course materials have shown me that society often views disabled people as less than, when it's really our views of disabled individuals that needs to change. In the website, The 7 Principles of Universal Design, Rossetti notes that it provides the same means of use for all users. Identical whenever possible, equivalent when not. Further, disabled people don't need to be helped or fixed, but it's our mindsets that must be altered so that we begin to welcome all people. We need to recognize that we are all differently abled. The next thing I learned about access was that families often find extreme difficulty in educational settings when it comes to their cooperation with the school's decisions, limiting their access. It's important to know that this is not the fault of the family, but of the school's effort in considering the family and making them a part of the process. Going back to the interview, my boss has his daughter enrolled in a private school, and they are doing a very poor job at including the family in the process, so they're switching her over to a public school. And now she will not be going to school with her siblings, which has been hard on the family. So, going back to this, the course does a great job of highlighting processes that describe the school's lack of communication in this. To explain, in the video, Los Angeles' schools struggle to integrate special education students. Education Week asserts, "I don't want Leo to be included in the community. I want Leo to be included in the community. I don't want Leo to be segregated all the time. I mean, come on." This evidence comes from a mom of a disabled student. She expresses her concern for her son and her feelings about him not being included in the general education classrooms. Lastly, the continued inquiry part of the assignment. So now, as a future elementary educator, I will continue to make decisions in education and in the world around me to create more inclusive environments of my peers within my communities. Inclusion holds great importance in ensuring that society thrives properly in all environments. Further, I want my students to know that they belong and to understand that they have a purpose and an identity that is larger than what society thinks of them. And the questions that I have for you guys is, how will you provide inclusivity in the classroom? What skills and tools have you learned from this course that will assist you in this? Thank you.